Welcome to Menopause, Marriage and Motherhood, a podcast that's all about changing the way we view midlife and bringing the conversation about menopause out into the open. Each week we share stories, experiences and inspiration. We talk to experts on how to best navigate this time of life and find out how other people have not only survived but thrived through this time. I'm your host, Karen O'Connor. Hello and welcome to today's episode. Today I'm here with Jeannie Doherty. Jeannie is the founder and CEO of Cloud9 Strategic, which is a bookkeeping practice on the beautiful Gold Coast in Australia. So Jeannie's just down the road from me. Welcome, Jeannie.
Hey, Karen.
So we've got quite a lot to talk about because you're, how did you phrase it, a midlife mumpreneur, and you've got awards for your bookkeeping, but you've also got a background in skincare and health and fitness, and you do Latin dancing as well, don't you? Which it turns out we've got a mutual friend who is Jeannie's dance partner, which was a bit like, oh my goodness, how small is this world?
It's true. We actually dance together because I lead and follow. So I do lead the lovely Miriam as well. So yes, I am a midlife menopausal mumpreneur.
There's a mouthful.
And yeah, look, I've got a really strong background in skincare from a previous life kind of thing, because we were just talking off air, right, Karen, about estrogen and what it does when it wanes, what it does to your skin. Oh, it goes so dry. So yes, absolutely. But I'm also, I'm proud to be an award-winning strategic bookkeeper as well. Definitely a mum first. He may burst in the door at some point, and and a business owner second. Yeah.
Wow. So let's start with the skincare stuff. So in a previous life, because we were both saying that, you know, when you hit menopause and the estrogen drops, you end up with skin that looks kind of like a snake skin. And no matter what you put on it, it doesn't really make that much difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, and I'm better or for worse. I'm all about staving off the aging and looking as good as you possibly can, right?
Absolutely.
So I'll give you the hot tips on skincare, because not a lot changes over time. The elixir, I think, for youthful skin is glycolic acid. So that's derived from sugarcane. And you'll find that in a few really good products like ASAP Skincare, which is an Australian brand, I think, unless it's been bought out. But they have a good product. They call it a night cream, but that's just a trick. You can use it during the day, especially when you're like us. But glycolic acid will really, really help with that. Well, anybody's skin, but I would say, and when you're at our age too, you want to use a little bit of vitamin A, but that ASAP brand, it's so affordable, but they've got the vitamin A, the glycolics and everything. So that's my top tips. But yes, I mean, not everyone can have estrogen supplements. I get it. But for me, I was able to. I'm on so much of it. Oh my goodness. I take 3 supplements, and it really, apart from, I'm not sure if everyone knows its role in appetite, but estrogen does affect your skin dryness. So once you get your estrogen levels corrected and you're able to sleep again and you stop craving donuts and bacon, then you also get plumper skin.
Oh, I didn't know that. So what actually, do you know the process behind what happens with your skin?
Yeah, with the skin. All I know is that as the estrogen wanes, your skin gets drier. And because my journey with bioidentical HRT started in January this year, after I met a fabulous girl, a nurse, that said to me, goodness, Jeannie, don't you know about this stuff? And then I got onto it, and the nurse explained to me estrogen's role in, and I wondered why, like you, Karen, I was going to the mirror just going, seriously, I've always had dry skin, but this is ridiculous. And I could kind of cop my body, and living in Queensland, it's not as bad as, say, goodness, what's it like in Melbourne and that kind of thing. But yeah, it does. I think it would have to be, having a background in that stuff, it would have to be what it does to your lipid production, which is your oil in your skin. So it's just, we're just shriveling up, really.
Oh dear. And I was actually, because we used to live over in Perth, and for people who don't know Australia, Perth is a desert climate. It is bone dry over there. And I really suffered when I was over there. I'd have to put, like, it wasn't enough to just do an oil, wasn't enough to just do a cream. I had to do a cream and an oil on my body just to stop it from cracking and looking like a snake skin.
Yeah, well, the thing with the glycolics is if you imagine your skin like a piece of toast, right? When you put moisturizer on, it's a bit like putting butter on the toast. It's like you're still going to have the toasty top. When you use glycolic acid, and I use like a skin stripping strength for my body, right? Like, I get it from the States. When you use that, it takes the toasty top off to give you the soft bread, and then that moisturizer actually works better. So that's why, look, since I was young and I got into this stuff really, really young and became a specialist in ingredient technology and facials, and I owned a day spa for a while, I've been glycolic acid obsessed. So it's really, really, everybody gets some. It's such good stuff. Yeah.
Where do you get yours from?
Yeah, so the one for my face, look, I tend to, just because it's easy, I go online and I grab the ASAP, I think they call it the night cream. That's got 10% glycolic. It's quite mild. A lot of skins can take a lot more than that. And then there's an American brand called Platinum Skincare, and the dollar exchange rate's not great, so I'm always looking for their coupons. But their range is quite extraordinary. If you just try and look for the glycolics, though, because a lot of their range is actually a bit too brutal if you don't know what you're doing. But the other thing is I would tend to say the ASAP range, but in the Platinum Skincare range, they do a big body lotion by the lake. You can get like about 1 litre of it, and it's got heaps of glycolic acid, right? If you have a look at it, and on it, if you get those snake legs, like I was getting the snake skin legs, no, gone. I get 25-year-olds feel my skin and go, what are you using? And it just, it's so good. I just love it so much. It's really expensive.
Some of that as soon as we finish.
Yeah, so put it in the show notes, and then they'll be like, sales are skyrocketing.
Yeah, actually, I'll ask them if they got an affiliate link before I put it in the notes.
That's right. Yeah.
Totally. So tell me, how did you go from that? So you went from that to being a bookkeeper, or did you do, I've got a suspicion you did like a few other things in between then, did you? Yeah.
Kind of it. I was actually raised by well-known successful entrepreneurs. So it's kind of like if you're raised by wolves, you're a wolf, right? And so I was thrown into business at like 15 and told to just do it and fix things. I mean, I ended up growing their business from 10 to 100 million and just do it, just go do it. So there was always that part of me, but there was a part of me just wanted to do something really different to what my parents did, and that was electrical retail. So I had a real, I'd probably say I was a really awkward, unattractive kid, right? So I thought I might go study that beauty therapy thing. It might give me a chance. And I ended up loving skincare and facials and ingredient technology. So I still stayed in that, and I potted in and out of it, but I was always drawn back to business with my parents. And look, when I did do their last gig, which was growing it from 10 to 100 million, I was like a kid in a candy shop because I love problem solving. I was in my 20s and 30s, right? No kids, no commitment, energy to burn, working around the clock. I absolutely loved it. Not something I could do now. Yeah. So now I love bookkeeping because, do you know, I actually have this aim to turn every woman in the world into a bookkeeper, because I'm a mum of a special needs child, and it's a wonderful career. It's a really flexible job around him, and you work anywhere, anytime, any device. It pays really well, and we actually deal with nice people. Like generally business people are nice people. They don't yell at you or anything. So it's a really good job for a mum. Yeah.
So what's a strategic bookkeeper?
Yeah, so a strategic bookkeeper is a little bit like a holistic bookkeeper. So a Bookkeeper takes care of what I call numbers 101. So they keep your bookkeeping up to date and accurate, which is great. But that's actually the first step in a 5-step process that I have. So strategic bookkeeping is a 5-step process which is aimed at actually helping a business owner to take those up to date, accurate numbers and use them in order to optimize their profit and cash and ultimately build their dream business and life, which is what I do now. And it's so wonderful that the client results the other day, I almost started crying at client results as it's pretty incredible working with business owners and the change that you can, sometimes it takes 2 years, but when that day that you see them hit a benchmark profit and it's all happening and their dreams are coming true, it's pretty wonderful. Yeah.
So what are the 5 steps that you have to do, or is that a trade secret?
No. And do you know what? It's an old age, like it's so simple because it's management accounting. This stuff, net accounting, this stuff never changes. So numbers 101, up-to-date, accurate accounting records, that's the foundation. So the second step is numbers knowledge, and I like to say that's a journey. So think of it as your first part of that journey is like a year. So day 1, you probably don't know much, don't know what a number in bracket means, which is actually it means a negative. And on day 365, you're telling me where the cost of sales should go on the profit and loss, right? And then, so numbers knowledge is step 2. Numbers strategy is the real management accounting piece that you do need somebody to help you with, but just a great strategic bookkeeper is fine. And that's where, so your profit and loss is telling you a story. And in numbers strategy, we rearrange the numbers so that story is as clear as it can possibly be. Then step number 4 is numbers targets, which is what always fascinates business owners, because this is where I talk about what does optimal business performance look like for you. So, for example, the restaurant that I just did a couple of years with that had me in tears the other day, there's something called benchmarks, and it sounds fancy and complicated, but it's just says, okay, if you're a restaurant, what do all the other restaurants do numbers wise? Like how much is their cost of sales? How much is their wages? How much is their rent, right? And then how much net profit does a restaurant make on average? Now, a net in their area, it was 11%, right? Now, that allows us to set targets around turnover. And so I kicked their bums for a couple of years on their cost of sales and their wages. And also we could see that their rent was really good, which is great because I've had to advise businesses to close based on the cost of their rent before. So those targets, even though it sounds simple, I'll just set a target. You can't just set a target. You have to understand what a reasonable target for your business is. So for them to get to 11% of turnover as net profit, boom, we're on benchmark. There's no point them aiming for 20% because in hospitality that would be unreasonable, but it also allowed us to hone in on those 2 areas that had to be improved constantly, or 3 areas. It's always 2 or 3, never more. So that's numbers target. And then the very last step is the beautiful numbers monitoring, where we simply, what was the target? So let's say the target on your cost of sales was 35%. The actual, when we look at it, was 40%. What do we need to do to move the needle? What's our action plan? And then we take the action, and little by little by little, just like the restaurant client, we get there, we do it. So just like a really basic 5-step process that I've been using for 12 years. It's how I helped one of my first clients pull an extra $250,000 out of his business. That was amazing. Yeah, and I reflect and I go, it was the same thing. It was the same 5 steps I use today. Yeah.
Tell me about some of the people that you've helped. So is this in every industry? Are your clients typically from the restaurant industry, or are they all over the place?
So it is a bit all over the place. I like to say my niche is trades and professional services. So imagine plumbers and consultants and that kind of thing. We do have quite a broad range. Like we've got someone in the forestry space who's quite big, but then more into that trades like I've got some bigger trades as well. The bigger the business, the bigger the mistake causes massive dramas. But then the bigger the fix causes a big result. Like we just had one client, is just I probably say all my clients are wonderful. I absolutely love them. I had some clients the other day say, "We love you." And it's because I love my clients. Just actually say, "I love you." And a client I love, and I was explaining, because his business is quite big, 4 million turnover, a little mistake was causing a big blowout. I mean, they were losing money. And for 6 months, I've had to work intensively, just come on, you've got to listen. We know the bleed. We know what's going on. We've got to take action. Come on. But when the fix occurred, they went from zero profit to $250,000 in 3 months. And I think that is really the impact of little stuff up, big impact, little fix, big impact. So that's really, really interesting versus a smaller business, a little stuff up doesn't cause as big a bleed, etc. But yeah, in terms of industries, it's primarily trades and professional services. We don't do a lot of inventory-based businesses. We do lawyers, that kind of thing. But we have got some inventory-based and not a lot of restaurants. We've got a handful of restaurants as well.
So you talk about are you like a franchise, or do you have people working for you? How does it work?
Yeah, just a few people working for me. So over the years, the team's kind of grown a little bit and then we've got really efficient the last year or so. And as a couple of girls have moved on, I haven't actually had to replace them, which has been nice because a small team's lovely. So I actually have a right-hand girl here full-time with me, and I call her my numbers ninja. So she's incredible, and she really primarily focuses on that 5-step methodology with our clients in a really dazzling way. Then I actually focus on high-level business operations, hence my background in big business ops, and also habits and mindset with my clients. And then I do have a couple of amazing accountants in the Philippines, and they kind of handle the grunt work. So they handle that transactional, just bookkeeping stuff that, in fact, they've designed robots for that now. So that's a bit scary what's coming. So we certainly are one of the more modern practices in Australia, where we've got the global space really, really right. So we're really careful when we recruit in the Philippines to train and support them really well, but also that balance of Joe and I here locally. And then I do have a full-time executive assistant in the Philippines who's amazing, and my brand manager is in the Philippines. So it's a global economy these days, right?
It is. How did you become a bookkeeper? Because you were saying you'd like every woman to become a bookkeeper because it's a great work from home job. I hadn't even thought of it like that, because people can be VAs and things now, but bookkeeping's probably another one as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and I probably would say I want everyone to become a strategic bookkeeper, because with robots taking over our job, and with these days, accountants and bookkeepers have really gone to that more global workforce to get some of that grunt work done. We do have to adapt or die. We don't want to be the Kodak story. We don't want to be the border book story. And so it's really important that we step up in my industry, which is why we're strategic bookkeepers, not just bookkeepers. And I became a bookkeeper because I'd done everything in our family business, including the account side of things. And so when I was having my baby, I thought, well, and my husband at the time said, oh, you could do the beauty side of things. You really love that and you're really good at that. Or you could do the business side, which one? And I thought, well, I can't really do facials with baby crying, but I'm pretty sure I can do bookkeeping. And I thought, I always actually really liked balancing numbers. I found that I liked that there was a beginning, a middle, an end. You were done and then you started again. I actually did really enjoy it. And so I thought, you know what, I'll just do that. But I think at the time the industry was going cloud. I love tech. It was going cloud. It was because way back 12 years ago, I still had all the clients were dropping off all their receipts and things downstairs, hey, Jeannie, drop off the shoebox. And every month or every quarter, we all scramble. And then Xero came along and I was like, oh, this is amazing. And I was Receipt Bank's first Australian customer. I jumped on the software bandwagon, and I remember a girl that was working with me. We're still great friends. And I remember the first day she's sitting at gymnastics with her children, right? She's such a great mum and she just loves her kids. So she's sitting at gymnastics with her kids. And she said, Jeannie, I just did a client's payroll while I was at gymnastics. Like, it was like, for us, that was not even in the office plugged to the computer on the MyOb. It was, I'm living the life. I'm with my children, but I was able to do that as well. So, it's anywhere, anytime, any device. Take the kids to the play centre and actually sit and do my work has been amazing. And having a special needs child who needed my time and attention, that I've had like almost a whole year where he didn't really go to school. So having that flexibility was amazing. But also for women, I want to see women like me get their own financial independence, and bookkeeping is a job where you get paid. You can get paid well if you value yourself and you're prepared to ask for what you're worth. And as a strategic bookkeeper, you can get paid even better, because if you help someone get $250,000 out of their business, trust me, they'll pay you a lot of money. And so I like that it can also give women the freedom to make choices, and something that might be a little bit hard to say is that if that woman was in a bad marriage, she might have the choice to walk away. I know, and that because I just seeing women get sick and don't have the choice to walk away because they feel they don't have a career. So next year I'm launching a business to help bookkeepers step up as strategic bookkeepers as well. Yeah.
You were saying earlier that one of the most important things you do is the mindset coaching for people, mindset and something else you said. What's that all about?
Yeah, so what I have, so I've got my numbers methodology. I've got it in like a little circle, but it's linear as well. So I've got the numbers methodology. I've got an operations methodology, which is plan team marketing selling standards. Now, surrounding all of this and what brings it together and none of it will work without it is what I call the 7 habits. And then I have like a brain model around successful mindset. So I have 7 habits of the successful kind of lifestyle entrepreneur, because that's what people these days, they're not just chasing the dollar, thank goodness, right? Thank goodness we've learned a little bit that the dollar isn't what it's about. Money has nothing to do with success, right? No, unless that's you want to roll around in a mattress of money, and that's great, but it really has nothing to do with success. And so the 7 habits are like, be a leader, be a planner, be proactive, be goal setting, be prolific, not perfect. I'm trying to remember the others. I can't remember the others. I can't remember them now. But basically, to give you an idea of how I work around them. So be proactive, for example. So what the business owners that I meet, almost all of them, even if they are having a lot of success, they're generally very reactive. Okay, so their mindset is to react. And I say to them, so when you get up, when you go to your desk in the morning, what's the first thing you do? And they say, well, open my email. Go, okay, exactly, right. Why do you do that? Well, I need to answer emails. Because other people want you to, right? So you're reacting to what everybody else wants, right? When your phone rings, what do you do? And they think, she's crazy. I answer it, Jeannie. Why? Because somebody wants me. They're reacting to what everybody else wants. So I teach them to become proactive, and I also show them the brain model with your kind of reptile brain, your monkey brain, then your reptile brain, your monkey brain, the empire builder brain. And monkey brain is that reactive autopilot. So a notification dings, we answer it, the phone rings, and we're all susceptible, me included. But if we really want to have success, and I see it with my clients, we've got to get an empire builder brain, and that is we have to stop, turn off the phone, get rid of the distractions, and actually be in charge of what we're doing. clients tell me that of everything, that they go on, they're just like, Jeannie, this is the completely game-changing piece. And they talk about it. They use the language. I've got a team at the moment where there's 3 of them, and the ops manager just says to the other guy, hey, monkey brain, you're in monkey brain, and they just remind each other. And another client of mine said, when I said to him, what's been your win lately? And he said, the systems that you've given me to get my time back. And he's a successful business owner. He said that has allowed me to win so many jobs that I would never have even been able to get time to go to, all because he doesn't check his email first thing. He doesn't need to answer his phone. His team reports to his team. He's in charge of his time. So that proactive one. And things like being a leader, just for example, is another wonderful client of mine, something I really had to challenge her to, well, also stop putting herself down. But that partly was about stepping. I said, you need to step up as a leader. And we talked a lot about what that looks like. And she's spent a year doing that, and it's been hard. But that habit, and she just, Empire Builder Brain just blows her mind. And she says to her little boy, be prolific, not perfect, right? Because that's another one. She uses it with the kids, but stepping up as a leader and getting proactive, and these habits, she's increased her turnover by 70% and her profit by 50%, when for 6 years before she had virtually no change. That's the power of it.
And all the stuff you're talking about, you can use in your personal life as well, can't you? Because there was one day last week, and I got to about 6 o'clock at night, and I was feral because I got 4 kids. I had phone calls from 3 of them. One of them I had 3 phone calls from, and then everything else coming in. So I got nothing achieved that day that I actually wanted to get achieved. And that's the hard thing for me, is putting the same boundaries in place for the kids. And I have to say, my eldest is 27. They're not young children. The youngest is 18. So I should be able to, all right, I probably need to start placing boundaries and saying, look, I'm not going to be available in these times.
Yeah, which is hard for women, right? Boundaries. Because I know we've chatted another time about my passion project. So I'm the strategic bookkeeper by day. My passion project is the healthy bookkeeper. And you know that because your thing around boundaries, it's as women, we pepper our speech with, so I'm sorry, and we put everybody else first. But unlike, I'm going to be really cheeky, unlike if a man puts somebody else first, he tells everybody, right? I'm sorry, generalization alert. When we put everyone else first, if someone is to suggest not doing that, they're like, are you a crazy person? What do you mean exactly? Sorry, yeah. It was once a joke on my Medicare card, because I've got stepchildren. I inherited them with my husband, and for some reason on my Medicare card, they put me last, right? And yet I added them. And everyone in the medical profession thought it was the funniest thing in the world. You come last. And I'm like, it's a sign. This is just life telling me and I did. You know what? I came so far last, right, in that life. And women, we need to have boundaries, and we need to put ourselves first. And I know so many of you out there will be going, that's crazy. But the thing is, I will challenge you, if you don't put yourself first, you are actually putting everyone else last.
Explain that one.
I love that one. So, and I think it's from something I have heard in different words. So like I did, when I used to put the twins first and my husband first, and really, what did I need? I didn't need anything. I just need to make sure everyone else is okay. I can't be my best. So if you don't put yourself first, you will not be your best. So these days, if you ask my beautiful little 11-year-old, what is your mum's priorities? He will say, my mama puts herself first and her health. And he says, very morbid, because if she doesn't take care of herself, if she's dead, she can't take care of me, can she? And it's true. And then he says, and then she puts me, I'm number 2, and then number 3 is her empire building. And when you put yourself first, guess what? Something's going to give. You're going to have to drop balls. You're going to have to let people down that were used to you putting them first. Put yourself first. Get yourself right. Get your physical, mental, and spiritual health optimal. And guess what? You will give everyone your best. Yeah. And so put yourself last and they'll get the worst of you. They will get the worst of you.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I've said this a few times. A friend of mine, her daughter had cancer. And when she went to the courses about caring for people with cancer, the first thing they said to them was, you've got to look after yourself first. And she said, but I'm trying to care for my daughter. She's dying. No. You have to come first. And she said it was the most difficult thing to do. To look
for women, that's what I mean. I remember, and it's the old, so do we put our oxygen mask on first? And what would happen if we didn't? Baby would have theirs on and we'll be passed out on the floor. You're going to pass out on the floor. And that's why the doctors actually used to laugh at me at the bottom, because it's well known in the medical profession that women, we very quietly, very submissively put ourselves last, and we actually think that it's insanity that there is another way and another situation. And with me, I ended up with postnatal depression because something had to give. When I was like a zombie, I was just catatonic. I couldn't even drive. I'm like a Stepford wife, bobbing around and just cleaning walls. And that's when I learned, the psychologist said, Jeannie, how long can this go on for? And she said, she encouraged me to actually ask my husband at the time, one morning a week, could I sleep in and you take baby, right? And I said, I can't do that. That's ridiculous. Like, how? I can't. That is insanity. And I went home and I told him that. And he said, this is insanity. We can't. Because we breathe this around us. It was his normal. It was my normal. So me pushing back, and I tell you, though, it's the gateway drug, right? You get a bit for yourself and you want a bit more. I'll take 2 mornings. I'll take a hand with the laundry,
It's weird how the expectation is that that's what we do. It's really unspoken expectation, isn't it?
Yeah, and we don't create the new boundaries, and we beat ourselves up for not being able to do everything, for not having an immaculate house and baby out the front playing and everything right and everything done. And so we breed the environment around us that says, well, that's my expectation. And so we have, it's a journey to wind that back and say, I need to put myself first. And for me, that journey took me to cortisone and antibiotics and really ill, and it took me to divorce. And I'm sure it does to other people as well. But these days, I just love that my little boy understands that too, because as a mum, one day my little boy will choose a woman like his mother to marry, right? And I think he will know that she should put herself first, because that will put others first. Yeah.
I remember years ago, my third child was really quite young, and one of my friend's daughters was in a final year of psychology. She was doing like a post-grad where you actually get certified as a practicing, I can't remember the actual term, but it is. Anyway, she came round to interview me. And so we just talked, and I answered all these questions. Honestly, we were talking about caring for kids, and it was school holidays at the time. So I had a 1-year-old, or a bit less than one, and a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old at the time. And she went back to her mum, and these were her exact words. She said, that is a woman on the edge. You need to do something. And I was just like, no, I'm fine. This is just how life is. I've got 3 kids.
You can't see it, can you?
And to be fair, I still can't. I'm still like, well, I was coping.
Yeah. I just remember funny things. Like, I remember running into someone with my car, and he was so lovely. He got out and he said, you don't need this today, do you? And he just went on his way. But I just remember just being catatonic and forgetting to eat, and just,
I used to fall asleep. I hate to admit this. I used to fall asleep at the traffic lights. I used to have it, and I'd say to the kids, wake me up when the lights change.
I know, right?
I was exhausted. I was just exhausted.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know how though I went from, and hopefully this inspires others. I mean, I was, like I say, I was last on the Medicare card. It was the joke of the medical profession. I am the queen of putting myself last, and I have mastered. Well, sometimes I can have a tendency to if I let a man back into my life, and I can tend to worry more about them. I have a beautiful man in my life now that puts me first, and I'm like, this is weird. But I think one of the keys for me, actually, and I'd love everyone else to think about this, is write it down, because there's all the research, the Harvard Uni on writing your goals down. So I wrote down on my whiteboard, number 1, my health. No, that's mental, spiritual, physical. Number 2, my little boy. Number 3, my empire building. Every time someone comes at you and says, I want this, I need this, I go to that picture in my head or on the wall or in the mirror, wherever I've got it, and I say, does it serve me? Does it serve my physical health, my mental health, my spiritual health, my boy, my empire building? If it doesn't serve those things, then I can get a bit brutal. And I had a dad at the school who, lovely, and I connect with people really deeply, and he reached out a couple of years ago and he said, Jeannie, I'm going through a really hard time, and I was wondering if you could be there for me. And I didn't know him that well, and I said, I actually can't. I can't. My plate is full, and if I'm there for you, my health, my son, and my empire building, well, I didn't say it in that way, but I said something's got to give, and unfortunately that will come from my top priorities in life. And I said, is there somebody else that you can reach out to? And of course there was, right? I would never just brutally do that. But my goodness, I think as women, that's hard to say no to someone that reaches out. And now, because I'm part of the Latin dance community, I volunteer a lot in it, and they're family to me, and I take care of them. So I do a lot for those people, and it nurtures my soul, and it nurtures everything about me. But those priorities does allow us to go, well, hang on. And even in my current relationship, for the first time, I'm able to actually stop and say, you know what? I actually need some space, or actually, I don't like it when you do this. I actually prefer this. I like my privacy. I don't want you staying overnight. Like all these things at once, I would have been like so many women. I come last, and therefore I'm going to go, okay, put my needs aside. And I was the worst in the world at this. So I just feel like the fact that I've got some mastery around it means that we can all do it. Yeah.
We're going to have to start wrapping up in a minute. This is going really quickly.
Yeah, I know. It's been really fun, though.
So you were saying, is it the Healthy Bookkeeper that you... So what's all that about? Let's finish up on that and tell me about that.
I guess it's my passion project, just because I've got quite optimal health, and it's not by accident. I've had a hard road and a long journey. At 49, I got a pretty rocking figure. and mentally and spiritually, I've worked hard to have a really strong mental and physical health profile. I think we can't afford the luxury of a negative thought. Thank you, Louise Hay. And so I would really like to, through launching the Strategic Bookkeeper, which is my next project, I'd like to also launch the Healthy Bookkeeper. And it's really just a complete passion project to inspire others. I am really keen around women, but to inspire anyone to put their health first and stop the insanity, because there's so much misinformation out there, and life's too short not to have it all. That's what I say. And I tell you what success and wealth is to me: health. Oh my goodness, have it all. Health. It's the best thing ever.
That was fantastic. And it's something we all need to hear, because it doesn't necessarily sink in, and it's so insidious that putting everybody else first. Half the time you don't even realize you're doing it till you're doing so much. You're like, oh, hang on a minute. Whoa, how did I end up here again? You just don't notice. I'm doing it at the moment with the washing up. I managed to get my husband and my daughter to wash up. And then I noticed last week, it's like, hang on, I'm doing the washing up again. What? I'm doing the washing up again.
They're probably like, haha.
Yeah, they are.
Sitting there happily watching telly.
Yeah, it's true. And that's why often doctors and things look at us like another one in the room that has no idea she's just so far down the bottom of everybody's list, and they have to subtly walk us down that path to try and see it. So yeah, I just, like I say, if we talk success and wealth, to me it's health, and so I just want everybody to have it all. I want them to have the best physical, mental and spiritual health that they can possibly have, so that they can enjoy these laps around the sun.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for talking to us. All your links and everything are on the webpage that goes with this. Whoever wants to get in touch with Jeannie, not if anybody wants to. That sounds really negative.
If you want to chew the fat. Oh.
Get in touch with Jeannie. The details are on the webpage. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Karen.
Thanks for joining us this week on Menopause, Marriage and Motherhood. Make sure you subscribe to the show on your favourite player, and while you're at it, we'd love you to leave us a rating on iTunes, or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would be amazing too. Be sure to tune in next week for the next episode, and remember, if you're busy thinking about what you can't have, how on earth are you going to enjoy what you can have? See you next week.